Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Friday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers grind out a win against the Knicks in overtime. They've won 8 in a row, a true team victory in a playoff setting. Lots to like. We will break it down next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcasts. You're always going to find this one for free, gratis. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is we're over 33,000 subscribers. Some of them are watching right there, right now. They can all hang out, ask us questions, ask each other questions. Great place to talk Lakers basketball, Andy, and they are excited about the Lakers who continue to win 8 in a row after Thursday's 113-109 overtime victory over the visiting New York Knicks. In a lot of ways, I think, Andy, perhaps the most impressive win they've had, or at least among the most impressive. And we can talk about why that may or may not be true as the show goes on. I do want to let everybody know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So, look, Andy, this is a winning streak, a winning stretch for the Lakers, where they have, for the most part, been playing from ahead. They have gotten off to really good starts. They have not had to claw back from big deficits very often over the last month or two. But in this one, they did. Down as much as 13 in the third quarter, the Lakers closed to within 8 going into the fourth and keep themselves close enough to get it into overtime and win.
I did the 710 ESPN pre and post game radio coverage for the Lakers tonight, the radio affiliate of the team. That's also in part why we're starting late. Apologize for that, and appreciate everybody waiting for us to start. But one of the things I talked about heading into this game was I was really looking forward to how the Lakers played against a good team, and the Knicks are the 3 seed in the East, at full strength, because there have been some questions about whether or not Karl Anthony Towns was going to be available for this game. He had missed the last one for the Knicks with personal reasons, ended up playing. And this, while the Lakers have played very well over this 8-game winning streak, and frankly, they've played very well since basically January or mid-January, the absolute latest, this is the first game in a while that they played a good team at full strength. Like maybe since the 23-point win over Denver. So that in and of itself was something that I wanted to see the Lakers go up against, particularly without Rui Hachimura, without Jordan Goodwin. They did get Austin Reeves back, but frankly, to put it generously, Austin looked rusty.
He did, but although he did have sort of in a theme that we'll touch on before the end of the show, is sort of everybody contributing in one way or another. Reeves was lower on that list, but he did have a critical 3 in overtime.
I tweeted out during this game, we'll get into, Gabe Vincent was spectacular in the fourth quarter when the Lakers needed somebody not named LeBron or Luka to step up with some points. Through the first 3 quarters of this game, the Lakers had 66 points. 41 of them were LeBron and Luka. So that means 20-something from the other 7 guys combined.
I'm not doing the math there, but
it's late.
It's not a lot. It's not
it's
a
late.
lot.
I've been doing the guys all tonight. And somebody else needed to step up. Gabe hit 3 threes in the fourth quarter. And when overtime began, it was Austin Reeves out there and Gabe Vincent sitting. I tweeted out at Cam Brothers, depending on the outcome of this game, JJ's decision to go with Gabe over Austin in overtime, considering how well Gabe played in the fourth and considering how much Austin was just pretty terrible through basically everything but overtime. Austin was pretty terrible. It ended up all's well that ends well, but
he did talk about that. Redick talked about that after the game. The goal was to get Vincent back on the floor. But with the lineup arrangements that they were going to use, you just couldn't. I mean, a lot of it was just Jaxson Hayes was playing really well, and
one way to get him on the floor would have just been
I'm
start with
telling
him.
you, I'm just telling you what the man said,
I
Andy.
know. I'm saying that doesn't make sense.
Okay, you take it up with him the next time you guys talk. But
I'm too tired.
I did. It was significant, though, I think, from a coaching standpoint, that he went with Vincent down the stretch. He recognized who the better player was on the night, even if in the hierarchy of the rotation, Reeves is normally going to be the guy who's out on the floor. But so it's good to see coaches coach the game that they're in rather than the game that they're expecting, or the one that's on paper, or whatever it might be. Look, I mean, the Lakers, you mentioned Luka and LeBron. Obviously, they were the catalysts for this game. Statistically, as bad as the Lakers were offensively, this was not a good game for the Lakers offensively. They finished with 113 points. 14 of them came in the overtime, which means, again, for the mathematicians out there, they did not crack 100 points in regulation. Fortunately, they kept the Knicks there too, allowing only 15 fourth quarter points. But this was 32 points, 7 rebounds, 12 assists from Luka, 31, 12, and 8 from LeBron. Only 2 other players on the roster tonight got into double digits, and it was Vincent that you mentioned with 12, and Dalton Knecht had 11. So this was not a prolific effort from the Lakers. And you talk about playing a good team at full strength. I talked, in the beginning here about kind of grinding out a game where you're playing from behind as opposed to ahead. This was, Austin Reeves talked about it after the game. This was not one they felt like they deserved to win in terms of their execution, in terms of how sharp they were and all that. But they earned the victory by staying close. They found just enough offense to keep 13 points from becoming 18 points. And then Reeves said, you look up and it's 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. We're down by 6. It's like, oh, we can win this one, because they believe if they're close that they can both get buckets and stops and win games like this.
I'll take it a step further, because the Lakers spent a lot of the second and third quarter of this game, I think even into some of the fourth down double digits. So it's more than just thinking, if we're close, we can pull this out. It's them actually thinking, we're going to fight whether we are close or not. It's one of the.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, when you get down by 13 in the third, and you get 2 big buckets from Dalton Knecht, including a 3 to finish the quarter. That kind of, that cuts it from 11 to 8. Knicks pushed, I think a couple buckets early in the fourth, got it back up into the 10. But they chipped it, generally speaking, they kind of chipped it down, and then you don't give up on the game. Redick talked about it, used the old Eric Spoelstra expression, not letting go of the rope. They didn't let go of the rope. And, some of this is a byproduct, I think, Andy, of having Luka and LeBron. If you can stay close enough, you trust those guys to give you buckets, or at least give you the opportunity to get buckets and give wide open 3-pointers to somebody like Gabe Vincent. I'm starting to get really interested and excited about these games where the 2 of them not just combine for 60 points, but they also combine for almost 20 assists. That's just good stuff. It puts into scale the what they've got from a playmaking standpoint and how difficult that is to stop.
When you have guys like Luka and LeBron, you always will give yourself at least a theoretical chance, but the theoretical chance doesn't happen unless the resolve is there for the rest of this team. And that's something, by the way, that's really grown over the course of this season. That was not the identity of this team when the season began. That resolve to constantly fight, that was not there. I think it's it's obviously helped when you win. Win begets more spirit, more energy, more belief, all of that stuff. But, I think it's helped when they traded for DFS. I think getting Vando back, I think Gabe Vincent rounding back into form. Like, those guys beyond playing well, they play with a certain energy and grit and like an embracing of the dirty work. But just all of the guys on this team now, this collection, they play really hard, and they treat games like opportunities. And it's been a long time since it's felt like the Lakers have just decided, you know what, it ain't our night. Bleep it. It's not worth it. They just treat it like it's worth it.
It's there's more to, I think, even more to it than that. And you talk about winning kind of compounding on itself, and I think that plays a significant role in the comeback on Thursday night. I'll explain why next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Prize Picks. Basketball season is heating up. Damn right it is. And there's no better way to get real money action while you are watching your favorite NBA stars, especially the ones that happen to be Lakers, than with Prize Picks. Whether you're a diehard fan or just looking for some friendly competition, Prize Picks makes it fun and easy to turn basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. Maybe you think LeBron is going to drop 30 points or Luka is going to get more than 8 assists or more of both. Prize Picks lets you make your predictions, put your money where your mouth is in 60 seconds. They got deals like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25%, giving you even more money, more value for your lineup. And now is the perfect time to join. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. There's no need to even win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Sign up for that newsletter, people. LockedOnDaily.com is where you go. Then you click on Locked On Lakers, and you have this show, some analysis that we try to write up and give to you every single day of the work week, and then of course analysis from around the network, all the other great shows and hosts and things like that. So it's well worth your time and well worth your money. Do you know why? Because it's free. It costs you nothing. Just go to LockedOnDaily.com, click on Locked On Lakers, and it's all yours. The Lakers, with this win, this is the 40th win of the season. We are still early in March. I can think it is fair to say, Andy, that nobody expected the Lakers to have 40 wins in early March in, say, late November. That was not in the cards. As well, we didn't think they were a bad team.
No.
But there's a big difference between, that and this. And you talk about the stuff that helps teams in games like this, gives them the spirit to do that. I think some of it is, look at where we are. Look at what we're playing for. 8 wins in a row. And they are now, with the second seed in the West. Like you keep adding on to the incentives to perform. It's no longer just, let's get in the top 6 and avoid the play in. Now it's, let's get home court. Now it's, let's get home court for 2 rounds and not just 1. Like the incentives are strong, and the winning keeps piling up and feeding that belief that the incentives will matter in the end.
You mentioned win number 40 and the Lakers being ahead of what we projected to be their pace for their record. Last year, they did not reach win 40 until March 26th. So that puts the Lakers 20 days ahead of that. It was a double overtime win over the Bucks. So I guess thematically it speaks to, even if it's hard, it's still relatively easier than last time, because that was double overtime.
Versus twice as hard.
Yeah, versus single overtime. The idea of their willingness to just lay it all out there. There was a lot that was frustrating the Lakers in this game, beyond just the inability to score if your name was not LeBron or Luka, the inability to hit outside shots. If your name,
even those guys, it's not like either one of them had highly efficient nights. They
well,
just were the only two guys who could score at all.
I mean, if your name was not Luka, you were basically struggling from beyond the arc. The Lakers entered halftime, I want to say, shooting 18% from behind the arc. They were starting to have difficulties with turnovers. Like, they didn't have a lot in the game, but they had several that was like, ugh, like that's ugly. Like that it just, them not being on the same page. Luka got teed up where there was a sequence where he was going after a loose ball and he got jacked in the face. And I want to preface this by saying he did.
I'm not, but it was sort of after the ball was out of his hands. And
well, he got cracked, and it wasn't the first time. And I want to preface what I'm about to say with the reason the Lakers were trailing for much of this game was not the refs. The reason was they were not playing well. That being said, the refs missed a lot of calls that could have been in the Lakers' favor, and I think should have been in their favor. And that was building up. It explained in part why Luka got the tee, although, Luka getting a tee is.
Let's say, does he really? Do we need an explanation?
Well, it's interesting. I know. It dawned on me when Luka got teed up in this game. If you were looking for a bright side to him missing about 6 weeks or so with the calf injury, it's that he is behind his normal pace for tees. And the odds of him getting that 16th tee and facing suspension, never say never, because if Luka doesn't even have to put his mind to it to make it happen, but I think he just got either T7 or 8. I will tell you right now, that is well back from what you expect from Luka in March. But Dalton Knecht got jacked on a drive where he got hit in the face, then fell backwards, hit his head on the court, was struggling to get up. There was a lot that didn't get called that was, I think, also clearly upsetting the Lakers, and they fought through it. They did.
No, they did. I particularly in the first half. I mean, I didn't think the Connect play was really a missed call. I just think it hit the ground really hard
because he got hit in the face. That's why he went backwards.
We don't need to get into the arguing about verticality or things like that. The Luka thing is something I think we're all going to need to get used to a little bit, because this is kind of part of his jam. This is, the yelling at the refs, as frustrating as it is, as untimely as it can often be. And there are going to be moments where it's like, yeah, not right now. Nope. Wrong time. It does seem to be part of his process. Like, if he was Jeremy Strong, we'd be talking about, this is how he gets into character. So with every star, there is a certain amount of stuff that you just got to kind of put up with. That's like one of the things that they do. And for Luka, it is ref yelling.
I mean, we covered Kobe for 10 years. A lot of ref yelling.
Yeah, no, he occasionally, Andy, would voice his displeasure with some calls from the other guys.
He mostly limited to every possession.
The Lakers the big thing about this is that, that fourth quarter defense, they struggled all night to contain Jalen Brunson. Did catch a break as he went out very late with an ankle injury, but in his 41 minutes, that he had 39 points, 13 and 26, made it to the line 13 times. The only thing he couldn't do was hit a 3-pointer. He also had 10 assists. I mean, Jalen Brunson was insanely good in this game. But in the fourth quarter, the Lakers limited New York to 15 points. And in the OT, it was 7 of 24 over those two, over that 17-minute stretch. This team continues, Andy, to be able to figure out how to defend and get stops when they need to. And I think, that is one of the big differences between the Lakers this year and at different points, whether earlier this year, going into last season, whatever it might be, is when they fall behind in games, sometimes you wonder if they can get enough buckets to get back into it. but you don't doubt anymore that they can get enough stops. And I think from a mental standpoint, most teams believe that they can score, especially if you've got LeBron, you've got stars. At the beginning of the year, you had LeBron and AD. You believe you can put points up, whatever it may be. And now you have LeBron and Luka. You really believe you can get buckets when you need them. But you not only have to believe you can get stops, you have to be able to back that up. And the Lakers can. There's not a team in the league that they can't get stops against over a certain stretch of time from game to game. Like that, they are a legitimately high-end defensive team now. And that changes the context of every game that they're going to play in, every deficit that they have, every lead that they're trying to protect. The ability to defend at a high level changes everything.
And it's the complete opposite of what we expected from this team heading into the season. It's also, to be honest, what we weren't quite sure would sustain itself after the AD trade, which also involved Max Christie. He's one of the best defensive players on this team for a lot of this season. And even with the emergence of, of Vando and Vincent and DFS, and the LeBron, I think the dedication LeBron has defensively since around January, I really think was the catalyst in a lot of ways to all of it. Like, I think that's what more than any one thing enabled the Lakers defense to be what it is. But you still didn't know for sure whether or not it was something they were going to be able to maintain. They have, and now they've got yet another test coming up for a 4-game road trip beginning Saturday in Boston. We can talk about that coming up next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth-quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. The live betting feature keeps every moment of the game exciting. And whether you're backing your team for a late game rally like Lakers Knicks, or picking a player to hit a clutch three like, say, Gabe Vincent, you never feel like you miss your opportunity to get in on the action. Plus, the app's really easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new customers for FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
So before we get into the road trip, Andy, obviously starting with a fairly high-profile game between the Lakers and Celtics. By the way, the source of a lot of controversy in terms of NBA social media, with like Perk talking about on ESPN the Lakers saving the NBA this year and this and that, whatever. And I don't want to get into that stuff because honestly, I don't care. But the one thing that I think is exciting, or one of the things that I think is exciting, there's no question the league likes it when the Lakers are a legitimate title contender, but we are back in a place where it is not a major stretch to daydream about Lakers Celtics in June. No. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying I would make that the likely outcome, because until somebody beats Oklahoma City, they are, I think, pretty clearly the best team in the Western Conference. But, and by the way, Cleveland will have something to say about Boston coming out of the East. But like right now, these are the 2 seeds. Lakers Celtics in June, maybe.
If nothing else, we're not forcing the conversation.
We are not.
If we frame it in those terms, we're not forcing the conversation. Sorry if Charles Barkley's tired of talking about the Lakers. You're just going to have to keep doing it, Chuck. Just, keep saying they suck. So at least you can have your binky that way. Before also we get to the Celtics, point out a few guys. Like Jaxson Hayes fouled out of this game, but he made some really big plays down the stretch, particularly as a passer. Like he hit LeBron from the short roll for I believe a 3 that tied the game up at 96.
That was LeBron. I thought it was Vincent, but it was LeBron.
And he also hit Austin. He also hit Austin off the short roll for the Austin's 1-3 and like
It's 3.
and one of the 2 shots he made in this game. I will say, as much as I question the wisdom of having Austin out there for overtime instead of Gabe, big shot from Austin, which, I mean, you saw his expression afterwards. He was like, thank God. Like he was just like, thank you. Finally something. But some nice plays from Jaxson Hayes when they needed it. Dalton Knecht hit a few big shots. A lot of guys didn't have their best games, but I think everybody found a way to chip in at least a little bit. While
but you know what it was?
Kept it afloat.
It wasn't just that different guys found ways to chip in. You may have, everydayers may have heard me say this a few times. Like there's a long stretch over the course of this season, certainly going into the last season, where I always felt like the Lakers were like in the bottom 10th of the league in gotta have it shots, gotta have it 3-pointers, gotta have it rebounds, whatever it is. Like those moments in a game where a shot must go in. It is an open look you've created and it must go in. You get a situation where, like Anunoby missing the free throw at the end. Like you got to get that rebound. And the Lakers were beating people up. You could see, like, you watch the replay, like DFS basically just like it was like an old football blocking sled kind of move where he just drives Cat out of the way and LeBron gets that rebound. Like those kinds of plays, the Vincent threes where it goes in, like those are wide open threes in close games that have to go in. The Reeves 3-pointer was a wide open look that had to go in, and they made them. And I think when you start looking around for little clues that this team is just a good team, that's one of them. And, it's the previous games, guys are out of the lineup, and it doesn't matter sort of who you plug in. They kind of continue defending and continue doing the game plan no matter who is playing. Those are the signs of a good team. And they just keep piling up to now where we're like, most of the nights, we have the biggest first world problems and complaints about this team, which is awesome.
I mean, you mentioned how the Lakers did catch a bit of a break with Jalen Brunson's injuries. Absolutely ugly ankle roll. I hope he's okay. Like, it looked extremely painful, and he was having a difficult time getting back to the locker room. It is worth mentioning, though, that had the Lakers had Rui, and Rui just being a guy that can make shots, and if he had maybe been available just to make shots, perhaps the game isn't as close.
Yeah, and every team, very rarely do you get teams that are 100% fully at, everybody's at full set, but you get, the principal actors in this game for both teams were available, and except for, it's not like Brunson hurt himself in the second quarter. It was, deep into the OT.
No, but the OT though is a critical time.
It's an important part of the game. Don't get me wrong, but that kind of thing happens. But
I'm just mentioning.
I think this was Lakers versus Knicks with everybody available. I think that's fair.
Certainly everybody from the Knicks.
Yeah, you don't need an asterisk.
I'm not asterisking at all.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm saying it was close enough. And I'm excited for this road trip. I'm excited to see them go play on the road against really good teams. And I don't know if they're going to win them or lose them or whatever, but like go to Boston and play a good game. The Lakers have clearly shown they're a dominant home team. Okay, what about the road? Another signpost of, are you a good team or not? Can you go win on the road? So, we'll see starting Saturday.
It's going to be really interesting beyond just the matchups of this game and how much they change with Luka and Boston's health. Like they've got some guys banged up right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's going to be available for Saturday's game, but just about everybody on the Celtics who matters, like in the top 6 or 7, is dealing with something right now. And, some of them I'm sure were sitting Thursday against the Sixers because, the Sixers. And if you're looking to give some guys a break, that's the night to do it. But their top 6 or 7 guys have been dealing with something. But that being said, like, they've got a lot of wing defenders that you can throw at LeBron, and Luka. They've got interesting matchups in terms of someone like Porzingis who can play inside and out. They've got a lot of guys to cover around the arc. Like, they don't shoot the type of percentage that you might think collectively just for a team that takes that many threes, but they bomb the living bleep out of it while they're out there. And they're going to be looking for some payback because the last game, the Lakers beat them in LA pretty handily. And that was, by definition, a really high profile game. Then you go to Brooklyn. I don't know if D'Lo is going to be available for a revenge game or not. And then it's Milwaukee, followed by Denver on the second end of a back-to-back. Denver's a hard place to play anyway, much less second end of a back-to-back with that altitude. Mm-hmm. That is a really good, like you said, it's a good test, a good framing device to figure out maybe not exactly where the team is because there's still time for them to, roll into form, but you're going to be getting more clues. Those clues are going to be informative.
And they see the Nuggets again on the 19th at the Crypt, and so those games become important. Just for that second seed. If you want to hold on to that, you certainly don't want to fall behind in the season series. So at the very least, splitting there becomes in those 2 games becomes important. Again, first world problems we're talking about. What do the Lakers need to do to hold on to the second seed in the case of tiebreakers? Like, I realize people are going to recalibrate and frankly should recalibrate quickly what the expectations are. But we talked about this on Thursday. There's a certain, you and I have been around this team for a long time. We've seen some horrendous seasons, but we've also seen championship seasons and
up close.
Yes. We covered the team doing this things in the building and all that stuff. There is what makes this different and what provides a different kind of energy is the fact that so much has changed after the season started. It started with the trade of DFS, D'Lo for DFS, and then obviously the seismic trade for Luka. But the fact that this is all happening so quickly and there are still so many sort of unknowns, and it feels like there's still so much upside to this team. Like, defensively, I don't think there's necessarily more upside. Again, they hold a team to 100 points basically in regulation. But I can't help but feel this team with LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves leading the way has significantly more offensive upside than they've shown. There's an energy difference to this, where this feeling of contention than any other season I can remember, because in all the other ones, Andy, it was expected. I guess the closest thing would be the Western Conference Finals run, a couple years ago. But I don't know. I feel like this team feels more
Here's the comparison I would
ready than that one did.
Here's the comparison I would make. 2008, when the season where they got Pau Gasol, and while they had been playing very well before they got Pau, I think people forget about that. They were tied with Phoenix for first in the West when Andrew Bynum got hurt. But the reason it reminds me of that team was the expectations heading into that season were, this is fine meme. People may recall that was the season after Kobe had demanded the trade and went to every single media outlet that would listen, demanding that the Lakers trade him. They said he'd play on Pluto, ship Andrew Bynum's ass to New Jersey for Jason Kidd. Like, heading into that year, most of the expectations were like, is Kobe going to blow the whole damn thing up? And then when they got Powell, they were clearly playing well, but they were so untested as a playoff team. Like, other than Kobe and Derek Fisher, like a little bit of Lamar, like there was so little playoff experience between all those guys. You didn't know what they were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously LeBron has won 4 titles. Luka's been to the finals, Western Conference Finals. Like there's more playoff experience collectively, I think, on this team than that 2008 one. But I think in terms of pure surprise and also not quite sure what it's going to be, but man, it looks good. 2008's the one that comes to mind.
It's an interesting one for sure. We'll get a taste of 2008, 2010, 2000, and the entire decade of the 1980s on Saturday. Lakers versus Celtics. Of course, we'll be back following that game to break it all down. Locked On Lakers on YouTube, so we go hang out with over 33,000 subscribers. We'll see everyone after the game on Saturday.